J. Krishnamurti. Life. Jiddu Krishnamurti was born 11th May 1895 in Mandapal, a small town in South India. He and his brother Nitya were adopted in their youth by Dr. Annie Besant, the then president of the Theosophical Society. Dr. Besant and others proclaimed that Krishnamurti was to be a world teacher, whose coming the Theosophists had predicted. To prepare the world for this coming, a worldwide organization called the Order of the Star in the East was formed, and the young Krishnamurti was made its head. In 1929, however, Krishnamurti renounced the role that he was expected to play, dissolved the order with its huge following, and returned all the money and property that had been donated for this work. From then on, for nearly 60 years until his death on 17th February 1986, he traveled throughout the world, talking to large audiences and to individuals about the need for a radical change in mankind. Krishnamurti is regarded globally as one of the greatest thinkers and religious teachers of our time. He did not expound any philosophy nor found a religion, but rather talked of the things that concern all of us in our everyday lives, of the problems of living in modern society with its violence and corruption, of the individual search for security and happiness, and the need for mankind to free itself from inner burdens of fear, anger, hurt, and sorrow. He explained with great precision the subtle workings of the human mind and pointed to the need for bringing to our daily life a deeply meditative and spiritual quality. Krishnamurti belonged to no religious organization, sect, or country, nor did he subscribe to any school of political or ideological thought. On the contrary, he maintained that these are the very factors that divide human beings and bring about conflict and war. He reminded his listeners again and again that we are all human beings first, and not Hindus, Muslims, or Christians, that we are like the rest of humanity and are not different from one another. He asked that we tread lightly on this earth without destroying ourselves or the environment. He communicated to his listeners a deep sense of respect for nature. His teachings transcend man-made belief systems, nationalistic sentiment, and sectarianism. At the same time, they give new meaning and direction to mankind's search for truth. His teaching, besides being relevant to the modern age, is timeless and universal. Krishnamurti spoke not as a guru, but as a friend. And his talks and discussions are based not on tradition-based knowledge, but on his own insights into the human mind and his vision of the sacred. So he always communicated a sense of freshness and directness, although the essence of his message remained unchanged over the years. When he addressed large audiences, people felt that Krishnamurti was talking to each of them personally, addressing his or her particular problem. In his private interviews, he was a compassionate teacher, listening attentively to the man or woman who came to him in sorrow and encouraging them to heal themselves through their own understanding. Religious scholars found that his words threw new light on traditional concepts. Krishnamurti took on the challenge of modern scientists and psychologists and went with them step by step, discussed their theories, and sometimes enabled them to discern the limitations of those theories. Krishnamurti left a large body of literature in the form of public talks, writings, discussions with teachers and students, with scientists and religious figures, conversations with individuals, television and radio interviews, and letters in his 100 years. Many of these have been published as books, audio and video recordings. The teaching. When asked in 1974 by his biographer Mary Lutyens to define his teachings, Krishnamurti wrote the following: "The core of Krishnamurti's teaching is contained in the statement he made in 1929 when he said, 'Truth is a pathless land. Man cannot come to it through any organization,' he said, 'through any creed, through any dogma, priest, or ritual, not through any philosophical knowledge or psychological technique. He has to find it through the mirror of relationship, through the understanding of the contents of his own mind, through observation, and not through intellectual analysis or introspective dissection. Man has built in himself images as a fence of security, religious, political, personal. These manifest as symbols, ideas, and beliefs. The burden of these images dominates man's thinking, his relationships, and his daily life. These images are the causes of our problems, for they divide man from man. His perception of life is shaped by the concepts already established in his mind. The content of his consciousness is his entire existence. This content is common to all humanity. The individuality is the name, the form, and superficial culture he acquires from tradition and environment. The uniqueness of man does not lie in the superficial, but in complete freedom from the content of his consciousness, which is common to all mankind. So he is not an individual. He later said, "Freedom is not a reaction. Freedom is not a choice. It is man's pretense that because he has choice, he is free. Freedom is pure observation without direction, without fear of punishment and reward. Freedom is without motive. Freedom is not at the end of the evolution of man, but lies in the first step of his existence. In observation, one begins to discover the lack of freedom. Freedom is found in the choiceless awareness of our daily existence. Thought is time. Thought is born of experience, of knowledge, which are inseparable from time. Time is the psychological enemy of man. Our action is based on knowledge and therefore time. So man is always a slave to the past. When man becomes aware of the movement of his own consciousness, he will see the division between the thinker and the thought, the observer and the observed, the experiencer and the experience. He will discover that this division is an illusion. Then only is there pure observation, which is insight without any shadow of the past. This timeless insight brings about a deep, radical mutation in the mind. Total negation is the essence of the positive. When there is negation of all those things which are not love, desire, pleasure, then love is, with its compassion and intelligence.